All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. It is a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. You should already know how much I love you, how much I love the show, and how much I love representing the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. So if you're coming on live, please do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, hit the share button. I want you to tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know that Ramonepreston, his squad, and the Ramonepreston Show, we are right here live in his house from the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. Today is Wednesday, W-I-N-S Day. And my hope and expectation is that throughout the course of today, you've been winning. My hope and expectation is that throughout the course of this week, this month, this entire year, you have been winning. And if for some reason you haven't been winning, let's see if we can change that narrative. And if you don't know, let me make sure you do know. My name is Ramonepreston. I'm the host of the Ramonepreston Show, what you're watching right now. And every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, I bring my big bald head behind here right on this show, and I share information with you that I know you can use to help properly start, structure, and scale your business, your ministry, your income streams, and even your wealth building dreams. So if you're thinking about getting that bag, if you're thinking about building a successful business, if you're thinking about becoming financially free, and definitely if you're thinking about becoming a millionaire, I have the blueprint. I have the information. I have the strategies, the solutions, and the formulas that can help you scale your business and your finances to 7 figures. And I've got receipts to prove that if I can do it for myself, I know I can help make that happen for you. So today, I'm going to be talking to you about structuring and managing the holding company. That's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. Now, just this past Saturday, I hosted a free 2-hour deep dive. It was a web class that I hosted this past Saturday, and the web class was really on holding companies and creative tax strategies. And one of the reasons why I wanted to host that web class was because we're at the end of the year, and every time we get to the end of the year, people who got money, I'm talking about millionaires and successful business owners, they most likely are working with their tax strategists, their accountants, their CPAs. They're working with people so that they can lower their tax liability while maximize their profitability. Most solopreneurs, most self-employees, and small business owners know little to nothing about holding companies and creative tax strategies. And then when you find out about holding companies because you listen to somebody like me, or you start Googling and searching on YouTube, you realize that this is a very powerful phenomenon that it seemed like only a few people use. And most of the few people who use it are very successful, they're wealthy. And so when you talk to just everyday people, they don't really understand the principles and the concepts that center around holding companies and creative tax strategies. One of the things that I feel like I have an assignment to do, because I am an educator, because I am a community leader, because I am an influencer, at least to my tribe, I have an assignment, at least I feel like I do, to enlighten you, to heighten your awareness, to educate you, and to empower you, and to impact your life with this type of data, with this type of information that I know once you start using it, it's going to change the trajectory of your life. And again, if you really have a dream and a desire to be financially free, if you really have a dream and a desire to become a millionaire, and you know that it's going to require you at some point to either be connected to a successful business or have a successful business if you're going to be financially free and become a millionaire. And you're going to have to learn certain principles and practices around business and finance. I always tell people, you don't necessarily have to own and run a business to become a millionaire. Okay, but you still need to understand business as you become a millionaire, because if you don't, you won't be able to really utilize the principles and practices that are directly associated to business. And so with that being said, holding companies are companies. They're like any other company. They're LLCs. You start them like you start any other LLC. But the difference between, or at least one of the differences between holding companies and operating companies, like any other business, is that the holding company has a primary purpose to hold other assets. And those other assets are typically ownership interests. They are other investments, trademarks. They hold certain equipment. They hold things that could at some point provide more value to the holding company. Okay, now when you start a holding company, and I went through this earlier this week, when you start a holding company, there are certain things that you need to work on. You need to work on, like not just the company itself, the LLC itself, but you need to work on learning how to use that holding company to filter your ideas. Your holding company needs to become an incubator. You want to use your holding company also to position yourself in the marketplace. Like, for example, my holding company is Ramonepreston Enterprises. So if you look at the marketing and the branding and the messaging of my company, you don't necessarily know that Ramonepreston Enterprises is a holding company unless I say it. But what you do know is Ramonepreston Enterprises is a legitimate business operation. It is ran by the name of the person who the business bears the name of, and so there's a connection, there's a consistency, and all of this is a part of the fundamentals of you starting a holding company. When you start your holding company, you want to work on your intellectual property. You want to work on your IP, because it doesn't matter what type of business you're in. Whatever the business is that you're in, there's a way to do it, right? If you cut grass, if you trim trees, if you paint houses, if you're a contractor, a construction worker, if you clean, if you drive, if you're a trucker, if you are a pilot, it doesn't matter what you do in your business. There's a certain way you do it. Well, whatever the way is, whatever the system and processes that you use to do what you do, whatever the principles and practices are that you use to do what you do, all of this can become intellectual property that your holding company can own. You also want to work on making sure that you have thought through the name of your holding company. Could it be a brand? Who is the brand ambassador? What is the messaging behind your brand? Is it able to be trademarked? Are there copyrights that are involved in the information and intellectual property that you're putting together? Maybe you have real estate. Maybe you have equipment, cars, certain things that you want to transfer the ownership over into your holding company. So starting the holding company, there are some things that you just have to filter and flesh out as you begin the process of building your enterprise. And when I talk about building an enterprise, or when you hear me say things like organizational enterprise, I'm really talking about you building some type of infrastructure using the holding company and using the holding company concept. Now, I say that sometimes and people get confused by what I mean because the holding company, you understand it to be a legal entity, right? But the holding company concept, you're like, okay, what are you referring to? Well, like any other concept, a concept is really a set of ideas. A concept is really a set of thoughts. A concept is really a set of beliefs that you can form and function with on a day-to-day basis and use as principles and practices, okay? So for example, when you think about riding a bicycle, well, you know what a bicycle is, right? But the concept of riding that bicycle, the idea, the thoughts and the beliefs behind riding that bicycle are functionable once you learn how to ride a bike. Otherwise, you look at a bike, and if you don't know how to ride a bike, you're just looking at the bike. But the moment you understand the concept behind that bicycle, you get on it, you paddle, you stay balanced, you do whatever. Now you learn it and you get familiar with it and becomes a part of your day-to-day practice, okay? And so this is how you want to learn the holding company. This is one of the reasons why I have courses all on how to start and structure holding companies. I have courses, I have mentorship programs, I consult clients on this. And even when someone uses me as a consultant, I still give them access to my educational platform because I want them to learn about the things that I'm consulting them on. It's kind of like giving somebody a fish or teaching them how to fish. Okay, if you came to me and I'm out there fishing and I gave you a fish, you can leave, go cook the fish, but you're going to come back at another point because you need more fish. But if you came and asked me for a fish and I gave you a fishing pole and I showed you the principles and the practices behind fishing, the concepts, right? And you learned to function as a fisherman, you wouldn't have to come back and ask me for a fish. So that's a part of my belief system as a educator, as a coach, and as a consultant. And so when you think about the holding company as a concept, right? You have to think about bringing all of the wealth building strategies together and using this business entity, which is typically a LLC that you're calling a holding company. Now you have to bring these strategies together and use this entity in a very strategic way, in a creative way, so that it gives you the optimum leverage that you need. And see, let me just stop right here. If what I'm saying to you is confusing you and you're like, man, you sound gibberish. What you're saying don't make sense. It's only because you're not used to hearing this information. It's only because you might be tap dancing around on social media, but you never lean in and commit to learning from someone enough until you get it. I was just telling my mentees who are in my one-year coaching program Monday night. Every Monday we host a coaching call. And I was just telling them on my call Monday, I was like, all y'all, you pay thousands of dollars to be coached by me. You get access to all of my educational information. You get access to my workshops every quarter. Like, my coaching program is loaded with benefits. I mean, think about it. You get a weekly coaching call from me. You get one-on-one coaching sessions with me. You get access to my team, my personal assistant, my administrator, my executives. You get access to my millionaire concierge. You can call, text, and email people any day of the week and get responded to, and people will answer your questions. You get access to all of my training courses. I'm telling my mentees this who are in my coaching program Monday, and I'm like, if you're not on there learning this stuff every day until you learn it like I learn it, until you know it like I know it, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you think you can just tap dance around on social media. You can listen to Guru #1. You can listen to Ramonepreston, Millionaire Mogul #1. You can listen to a little bit of information Ramonepreston gives you on a free live show. And then you think you can go gather all this information and make it make sense. It don't work like that. If it worked like that, the whole world will be successful. There's a reason why only 1% of households in the United States of America make more than $400,000 a year. And one of the reasons why is because the other 99%, a lot of these people think that they can just listen to me on a show for an hour, you know, participate in a couple videos on YouTube, and they think they can become masters of concepts and principles that have taken people years, and some people decades, to learn and to figure out. So when you hear me spewing a lot of this information about holding companies and creative tax strategies and becoming a millionaire and being financially free, what you also have to equally understand is I'm sitting in this seat after 19 years of figuring a lot of this stuff out. So I started my entrepreneurship journey 19 years ago. It wasn't really until maybe the last 3 or 4 years that I started finding my sweet spot and started getting some momentum and seeing the results of years of work. So that means the first 15 to 16 years of the last 19 years, I was making a little money, but I wasn't doing what I'm doing now. I wasn't moving at the pace I was moving now. I didn't understand a lot of these principles and concepts as good as I understand them now. And so that's a lesson to be learned. Now, back to the structuring side of your holding company. So when you're structuring your holding company, it requires a few things, okay? Structuring your holding company, and I'm gonna go through the structure and I'm gonna go through some of the management of the holding company. But when you're structuring your holding company, it requires a few things. Number one, it requires the correct categorizations, okay? Let me just write that down. That might be a big word for you. Correct categorizations. It requires the correct categorizations. It requires the correct, this is when you're filing your paperwork. Okay, so again, when you're doing the legal side of your holding company, of your operating companies, of your subsidiaries, you want to make sure that you have correct categorizations. You want to make sure you have the correct language, and you want to make sure you have the correct game plan. Now, I'm going to explain all this in just a minute. Remember, we're talking about structuring. We're talking about structuring your holding company. So let's just go back to the drawing board. Let's say you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you've listened to me enough and you know that you need to have a holding company. Whether you already have an LLC that's in existence or whether you have 20 LLCs. You've come to the realization that what Ramonepreston is saying about holding companies is something that I need in my life. I need that in my life, dog. Okay, now that you know that, okay, you're either going to take your current LLCs and you're going to restructure them and reorganize them to reflect what a holding company is and to utilize the concept with those current LLCs, or you're going to start a new LLC as a holding company. When you do that, now you're working on the legal side of structuring it, okay? And this is what you need to remember, because it's going to require the correct categorizations. It's going to require the correct language. And it's going to require the correct game plan. If you don't have your categorizations correct when you're doing your paperwork, if you don't have your language correct when you're doing your paperwork, if you don't have your game plan correct when you're doing your paperwork, all you're going to do is have a good idea on paper. That's all you're going to do. And you're going to be like a whole lot of these entrepreneurs out here who every time I talk with them, they telling me how many LLCs they got, how their logo is, and they got their bank accounts, and they're looking for funding and blah, 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 because they did not do the due diligence to learn all the ins and outs of the legal entity that they started that they're now calling a holding company. Okay, so you need the correct categorizations, you need the correct language, and you need the correct game plan. Okay, now when are you going to use the categorizations, the language, and the game plan? Well, you're going to use it when you're obtaining your EIN number and when you're obtaining your articles of organization. I'm gonna put AO, Articles of Organization, okay? So this would be with the Secretary of State. All right, I'm abbreviating it. So I want to make sure that you're following along with me. So when you're obtaining your EIN number, when you're going to the IRS website to get your EIN number, okay, you're not going to see a category for holding companies. Most of the times when you're on the Secretary of State website to get your articles of organization for your LLC, you're not going to see, depending on what state you in, most of them don't even have NAICS codes specifying that there's a category for holding companies. So when you don't understand this, you're probably not going to file the paperwork right, which means that you're not going to fill out your application correctly, and you're not going to fill out your articles of organization. Now, if you know this is the process that you need to go through, we have the resources to help you with this. I have videos, I have walkthrough tutorial videos to show you how to obtain your EIN number for your holding company and for your subsidiaries. I have videos to show you how to obtain your articles of organization for your holding company and for your subsidiaries, so that when you do get your holding company established, with your EIN and with your Secretary of State articles, and when you come back around to get your operating company established, I have videos and the documents and paperwork all in one place on my platform so that your holding company can own your operating company, okay? So this is where you need to know the right language, where you need to know the right categorizations, and you need to make sure that you have a clear game plan. Number one, when you're obtaining your EIN number. Number two, when you're obtaining your articles, and when you're drafting your operating agreement. A lot of people don't understand that your operating agreement for a LLC, whether it's a holding company or whether it's an operating company, your operating agreement is kind of like the constitution of your business. So there's certain language you can put in your operating agreement to specify what the purpose of LLC number one is, what the purpose of LLC number two is, and who owns LLC number one, and who owns LLC number two, and what are all the do's and don'ts of each entity. You put that in your operating agreement, okay? You also want to make sure that you're designating your organizers and your managers correctly, especially if you're building an organizational enterprise. Also, when you're structuring your holding company, you want to make sure that you're integrating, this is like one of the most important things, you're integrating the correct systems and processes. Because remember, it doesn't matter how many LLCs you have. It doesn't matter how many business operations you have. At some point, your holding company needs to be structured in a way so that whatever the systems and processes are that you have integrated into the holding company, you have to, at a certain point, all these systems and processes have to work for every other entity. So whether you have divisions under your holding company or whether you have legitimate business subsidiaries under your holding company, you want to make sure all of these business entities and all of these operational departments have systems and processes that work. This is what simplifies your business. This is what's going to make your business easy. I already know if I sit down with a client and they don't have the correct systems and processes, at least in their holding company, I don't care how many other companies they have. I already know they're confused, and I already know that they're just scrambling around and they're not getting anything done. Am I making sense? Okay, so these are all the things that you want to do when you're structuring your holding company. So that's the startup part, that's the structure part. I hope that I'm making all of this make sense to you. If for some reason I'm moving too fast, I'm talking too fast, and you're not understanding everything that I'm talking about, I want you to reach out to me and my team so that we can at least give you access to this information so that you can take some time and get through it to really learn the ins and outs of starting, structuring, holding companies. Because if you're going to scale a business, I don't care what kind of business it is, the scale of that business is going to be dependent on the structure and the starting of that business. So when your business is not started correctly, and when it's correctly, then you never get to the scale. And this is like business 101. If you talk to any business consultant, anybody who specializes in engineering businesses, they're probably going to tell you that you ain't never getting to scale if you don't have the structure and the startup part done correctly the first time. See, I didn't know this when I first started my first business. I started my first legitimate business as a LLC, 16 years ago? That was like 3 years into me and my wife being a two-person real estate team. And for the first couple years, we didn't have a business like LLC because I was listening to the wrong people. I had people telling me, well, since your wife is a real estate agent, you guys really don't need a legitimate business. Once I stopped listening to someone who was just as broke as I was and who knew nothing about being successful, I realized that it was to my advantage to start a business. So I started my first business, okay? That business lasted for a couple years, and then I pivoted into another business. So I've started 3 or 4 businesses before I landed on Ramonepreston Enterprises. So I've had a couple businesses, all right? But my point in bringing that up is anytime I ran into an issue with the scale of my business, meaning that anytime I ran into an issue trying to make more money and trying to expand my business, it wasn't the scale part. It wasn't the scale part of my business that was the problem. It was the structure part of my business and the startup part of my business. This is why, if you look at a lot of the information that I put out on social media, I specialize in helping people start, structure, and scale their businesses, even their ministries and their income streams. Why? Because I know if we can make sure that you start your legal entity correct, meaning that you have your holding company set up right, meaning that you have your division set up right, meaning that you have an idea of what your subsidiaries need to be, you have an idea of what type of intellectual property you have. If you can make sense of all that here, when you get to filing and forming the paperwork, you're probably going to do it all correctly the first time. And then when you're here at the structure side, you can work on your systems, you can work on your processes, you can work on building your company out the right way so that you don't have to rinse and repeat it. And it's a process. This is one of the reasons why most of my programs that I provide, whether it's online education, whether it's coaching, consulting, or whatever, most of my programs are typically 1 year in terms of length, because I know you need at least a year to start figuring a lot of these things out. I've got students and clients who've been in my programs for more than a year. You know why? Because they realize it takes more than a year to learn all of these sophisticated strategies and principles. But at some point, you got to learn it. And you got to stick with it long enough until it becomes a part of you. And once it becomes a part of you, guess what? You're going to know it because you're going to see the results from it. So back to my point. So structuring your business, structuring your holding company is centered around the correct categorizations, making sure your language is right, making sure you have a game plan so that when you do obtain your EIN number, you obtain it right. When you do your articles of organization with the Secretary of State, you do them right. You have your operating agreements drafted. You designate your organizers and your managers correctly. You start integrating your systems and processes, and then you start introducing yourself, your products, and your services. See, I use my holding company. Like if this is my holding company right here, I use my holding company to position me. And I can't even get into this whole conversation. I have a whole teaching around this one concept. It's called the SMS matrix, the structure, marketing, sales matrix. SMS is an acronym for structure, marketing, and sales. So I don't have time to get into it, but I teach a whole concept behind you starting and structuring a holding company in such a creative way that you use it to put yourself at the top of it, and you position yourself in the marketplace as an expert. Because remember, your holding company may not be providing a service or selling a product. Your holding company may own a company that sells the products and provides the service. But I use this concept to show my students and clients that if you have a company that's selling products or providing services, and your company is owned by your holding company, and you stand at the top of the holding company, you can position yourself as an expert. For example, I use this as an example all the time. If you wanted to start a plumbing company, right? Okay? If you wanted to start a plumbing company, now this could be anything. This could be anything that you want to do. Any business you can think of, you can replace plumbing with that business. The same rules apply, okay? But I just want to show you this for an example, because these are the types of concepts that I teach. If you wanted to start a plumbing company and you came to me and said, I want to start a plumbing company, what is the first step should I take? I wouldn't tell you to start a plumbing company. I would tell you start a holding company and make sure this holding company is structured correctly, meaning that you have a brand, you got the name is correct. You want to make sure that you understand how to run this company and how to use this as an asset manager. And then you can start LLC number 2 for the plumbing. Why am I telling them to do that? Because if you just start a plumbing company and you say, hey, my name is Joe the plumber, I'm going out into the market and I'm trying to sell plumbing. All right? I'm not saying you can't make money just going out there selling plumbing. But what I'm saying is, if you start a plumbing company and you go out to sell plumbing, and I start a plumbing company, but my plumbing company is owned by a holding company, and instead of me going out into the marketplace as Ramon the plumber, like you did, Joe the plumber, if I go out and say, I'm the plumbing expert. So not only do I have a plumbing service that I can provide, but I also provide consulting and coaching and training and education, and I inform people about the world of plumbing. And I'm not just talking about a service that I provide. I'm talking about the pipes, I'm talking about PVC, I'm talking about sinks, I'm talking about like sewers and anything you can think about in the world of plumbing. I'm going to go out here as the plumbing expert and have that conversation. When people start coming back to me and they realize that not only am I a plumbing expert, but I also have a division in my company that provides a plumbing service, who do you think over the course of time will make more money? You doggone right, I'm gonna make more money, because people are gonna trust me because of how I position myself. So that's why when I talk about positioning yourself or introducing yourself and your products and services to the marketplace is important. That's what you need to figure out on the structure side, okay? So let's talk about managing a holding company very quickly, because managing your holding company is where the rubber meets the road. Managing your holding company, because everybody wants to have a holding company. Everybody wants a business. But I can promise you, I've been doing this long enough to know. 9 out of 10 people who have LLCs, and you can correct me on this and call me to the carpet if I'm wrong, but I'm willing to bet 9 out of 10 people who got LLCs do not know how to manage the day-to-day operations of their LLCs. 9 out of 10. I'll say 9 out of 10. Remember, I gave you some statistics the other day. Excuse me. One of the stats that I gave you the other day was, out of 100% of businesses in the United States of America, only 40% of businesses, 4 out of 10 businesses actually make a profit. Okay? The other 60% of businesses either break even, which is losing, and the other 40%, the other 30% lose money. So out of every 10 businesses in the United States of America, 6 of them are categorically failing. Only 4 out of 10, every 10 businesses are actually making money. But out of those four, I'm almost willing to bet 3 of those businesses don't even manage the day-to-day operations of their businesses correctly. I know this to be true because I used to be one. So it's easy for me to guesstimate that 9 out of 10 LLCs don't manage the day-to-day operations correctly. And why don't they? Well, first of all, they didn't start the business right. They didn't structure the business right. All the stuff that I've been talking about, the person who started the LLC or who paid somebody to start the LLC wasn't thinking about none of this stuff, because I was one of those guys. Like I'm telling you, my company today, Ramonepreston Enterprises, is let's see here, Preston Real Estate Enterprises. I'm trying to see how many LLCs it took for me to figure this out. Preston Real Estate Enterprises, that was my first company. Then we started Preston Properties. That was my second. Then we started RP Enterprises, and then we just merged all them under Ramonepreston Enterprises. So Ramonepreston Enterprises, this holding company, this global business conglomerate, is the fourth legal LLC that I started. And it took me up to this fourth LLC to really master these principles and concepts that I'm teaching you about. And all of this is public knowledge. I mean, you could go to the Secretary of State and look at, you just put Ramonepreston in. Like, it's all public knowledge. Can't nobody lie and hide any of this information, okay? But you can literally go to the Georgia Secretary of State, pull up Ramonepreston, you're gonna see I started one company in '06. That's Preston Real Estate Enterprises. I think it was 2014 when I started Preston Properties. 2015, I started RP, abbreviation RP Enterprises. And then finally in 2018, I got it all right. I literally like consolidated everything and created what is now known as Ramonepreston Enterprises. And so I'm sharing that with you to show you that managing your holding company and your divisions and your subsidiaries, managing these things, managing all of these operations, managing all of them is 100% dependent upon the proper integration of systems and processes. Point blank period. Point blank period. So if you're having a problem managing your single business, or if you have multiple businesses, or if you have one business with multiple divisions, you might have different departments. If you're having an issue managing the day-to-day operations of it, meaning that you confused, you don't know if you should focus on sales, marketing. Every time you start focus on marketing, you drop sales. When you focus on sales and marketing, you drop the financials. When you start focusing on the financials, you forget about operations. When you focus on operations, you as the CEO lose your mind. You don't have a general operating system. You don't know if you can hire people. You don't know the KPIs of your business. You don't know how to measure the revenue impact. All of this that I'm talking about hangs on the hinges of how you manage the day-to-day operations of your holding company, or if you don't have a holding company, whatever the business is that you have. Which, by the way, if you're in ministry, because I talk to people on both sides of the train track, if you're in nonprofit ministry, community service, if you have a foundation, if you have a 501c3, if you have a church, these rules of operation still apply. Yes, there are some differences, but the rules still apply. So I'm not even going to really go deep into the managing side of your holding company, because I know that time is of the essence. It's already like it's almost like the hour is already spent, because I've been talking a whole lot. But I really want to help you see the significance of you properly starting, properly structuring your organizational enterprise so that at some point you can scale it. Like if you talk to any expert in business that understands scale, they're going to tell you most likely that the scale comes after some time of working on the start and structure. Because the start and structure phase is where you dig deep into how to really manage the day-to-day operations of your business. And in order for you to manage the day-to-day operations of a holding company, if you have a holding company, if you have divisions, and if you have subsidiaries, how do you manage that? Let me draw a quick diagram of it. So this is you at the top. Okay, you have your holding company here. Then I'm going to do circles to say that these might be like divisions. They may just be operational divisions that you're using under your holding company, right? But then you might have, let's say under here, I'm doing 5 of them, but you might only have 1 or 2. But let's just say you have subsidiaries. These are other LLCs. So this would be LLC number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, and beyond, right? This is LLC number 1. How do you manage that? How do you manage that? This is so important, because if you've gotten as far as this point to figure out how to start a holding company, if you've gotten as far as this point on how to start subsidiaries, even if you have the legal structure correct, you have your operating agreements correct, you got all this stuff correct, okay, then what do you do? This means nothing if you're not managing it. This has to be managed. Now this has to be managed. How are you going to manage it? I'm telling you how you're going to manage it. You're going to manage this through systems. And you're going to maintain the integrity of that management with the right processes. So if this is information that you know you do not have, I urge you to reach out to me and to my team today so that we can give you access to the number 1 business and financial wealth building system that you are going to find on the internet today. I can stand behind it, and you can call me on the carpet if you know that there's other business and financial wealth building systems available, but I can promise you it's going to be hard for you to convince me that there is a better financial and business educational program out there on the internet that far surpasses the Millionaire Blueprint. I don't know if you're going to find that. But in that program, I teach you everything that I just talked about. I teach you how to start and structure holding companies. I teach you how to build your divisions and your subsidiaries legally, structurally, and even practically. I teach you how to position yourself so that you can work on building a brand and building a brand ambassador around your business and making sure that your intellectual property and your trademarks and everything is like really tight and polished, and it all brings a level of consistency to what it is that you're doing. I teach you how to integrate systems and processes. Like, I break this stuff down to like granular levels, incremental levels of data to show you exactly how to do it. I'm not just teaching courses on what you should do. Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, because I don't like nobody to teach me. I teach people the way I like to learn. So how I learn something is how I break it up to teach it so that it can make sense to you. Because I'm not the brightest light in the room. I don't have a Harvard or Ivy League education. So I have to teach it to you the way I learn it, because how I've learned it has made the difference in my life because I'm able to use it. So if you want access to my #1 online business and financial training program called the Millionaire Blueprint, or if you would like to learn more about it and maybe get more information on my mentorship program as well, my mentorship program comes with access to my blueprint, but it also gives you access to one-on-one coaching sessions with me, weekly coaching calls, quarterly workshops, and a lot of other benefits that you get if you're joining my coaching program. But either way, I want to have a moment to talk with you and to give you more information on what you might need so that you can properly start, properly structure, and at some point scale your business and your finances. So all you need to do, if you're interested in getting access to any of this information, is text the word millionaire. Text millionaire to 404-478-7213. 404-478-7213. Now listen, if you are already in business, but you are just confused about where you need to go in business, or you just don't have enough information to move forward in business, you're struggling with sales, maybe you're having issues with marketing, maybe you don't even have a sales system or process yet, maybe your financials are just all over the place. You haven't been able to figure out QuickBooks or any type of financial management system like that. You don't really know about tax strategies, business deductions. Maybe you're still working on a job and you're trying to get your business off the ground, but you don't know how to connect the two. Perhaps you might be making a little money, but you still have issues with running and managing your business. You don't have an operational system. You don't really know how to hire people or how to get people to help you. You don't know how to designate certain roles and responsibilities. I want to help you get rid of those problems. And I can help you in different ways. I can help you either through my online program where you can learn on your own pace. You can learn and study from any device as long as you have Wi-Fi, and you have unlimited access to study and to learn. You have videos and documents and forms and tutorials to really educate yourself. Maybe you want coaching. Maybe you need me to coach you because you need some extra help. You need me on the sideline of your business. We have a mentorship program for 1 year that we work with you throughout the year, throughout an entire year, to help you put the pieces of the puzzle together. And we sit down with you initially to put a game plan together. That's the good part about our coaching program. We have an initial session with you and we dig deep into what you're doing in your business, and we figure out what the best route is that you need to take. What type of structure you need, what are your processes and systems, what type of products and services do you have? If you don't have any, what ideas do you have? How can we monetize? What do you need to do? If you work on a job, can you readjust your W-4 to make more money to bring to invest in your business? We go through all that. And again, if you're already making money, I have other programs. I have a business incubator. It's a 1 year consulting program where my team and I, we do it with you. So we don't just coach you in our business incubator, we do it with you. We literally have sessions where we come together and we dig and deep dive into every aspect of your business. We help you put your vision together, your mission, your core values. We help you with your KPIs. We help you with your company roles and responsibilities and the tasks. We show you how to build your organization out the right way, and we walk you along the way. So all you need to do is text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213, and I will be more than happy. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have about anything you've heard me talk about, whether you want to purchase something or not. You might just have a question that's burning and you just need an answer. Just text me. We're here at the office. We're live here this beautiful Wednesday. We'll be more than happy to speak with you and provide more information to you. So I love and appreciate all of you. Please put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. Put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. What was your biggest takeaway today? Please put it in the comments. Let me know what you heard today that gave you like a aha moment. What was your aha moment? Let me know what your aha moment was. Please let me know. Let me know what the aha moment is from today's show. Something you heard today and you said, oh my God, now that was powerful. I would love to know what your takeaway was from today's show. And I really appreciate all of you for continuing to support the show. Appreciate all of you who continue to give us feedback. Also, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube page. Be sure that you subscribe. Also, I would love for you to go to Google and leave me a Google report. Leave us a review and follow us on all platforms. Any platform you go to, you're probably going to find me at Ramonepreston. And so we would love to hear from you today. If you have any questions, or if you know that you're ready to make a decision to change and transform your personal, your business, and your financial life. If that's you, text millionaire to 404-478-7213. I love all of you. Appreciate all of you. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you on the other side. Same place, same time, right here, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern, on the Ramonepreston Show.